Hello, everybody. My name is Chris Packey. I'm the Respite Coordinator here at Wind Youth Services. Today, I'm going to be starting the first of my four-part series on the 5 basic needs. 5 basic needs are something that Dr. William Glasser came up with. If anybody's familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this kind of follows that same principle, however, has different characteristics with it. We'll go over some of those characteristics at the end. But just as you're hearing these things and you think, wow, it's kind of like Maslow, it kind of is, but we'll go over those distinct differences as well. So what survival is as defined by Dr. William Glasser is a physiological need. It includes a need for food, for shelter, and for safety. We also have genetic instructions to survive, not only just as individuals, but as a whole species, which includes the need to reproduce. As we're seeing right now, our definition of survival can change on a lot of different factors, whether it's your survival need, whether it's a global pandemic, if we're wearing masks and quarantining and social distancing, that's how we kind of adjust as a species to survive as a whole. As well as individuals, the agency also has a need to survive. There's needs of the agency that require us to do things in order for the survival of us, whether it be grant recording or requirements, whether it be our good neighbor policies. All of those things go to survival as well. So this week, as we focus on survival, I'm also going to be talking about another theory by Barbara Armstrong. Barbara Armstrong came up with these 4 colors, and these colors kind of represent different things, different ways that we recognize our needs as we go through life. Something important to note with these is you could be all 4 of these things in a day. You could be one of these things for a week. You could not be one of these things for a whole month. These things, it's not one person is this specific color. And this will kind of make a little bit more sense after I go over it. We're gonna first go over what the 4 colors are, go over what the 4 colors mean, and then we're gonna do some practical practices where we're gonna take those 4 colors and how we apply that to survival and ways that we might apply them differently. So the first one is red. No particular order. There goes red, blue, purple, then green. So what are these colors? Why are they? Some of them might make a little sense to you. Some of them, doesn't really matter. But when it comes to being red, that's when I count and you don't count. That's when someone might be a little selfish. Someone needs to take care of their need right now, their survival, their food, their shelter. That's what's important for them right there in this moment or in the future. For blue, that's when you count and I don't count. That's when, your need of survival is kind of being met. Someone else might need a little bit more and you're able to say, hey, have my last cookie. That's fine. I've had enough. That's when I have an extra shirt that I don't need. Go ahead and take it. Purple, I don't count, you don't count. Nobody counts in this situation. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Nothing matters. Nobody matters. And that's it. And then green, that's when I count, you count, we all count. That's when, we're taking care of ourselves and with our community and with our friends. So how do we apply this to our life, right? Like, we're not going to sit there and be like, oh, you're being red. Like, oh, you're such a purple right now. That's not going to make sense to anybody. So what do we do with this? This is something that we kind of recognize in ourselves to maybe help us process what we're doing. So for instance, red, I count, you don't count. Someone steals food, right? Their need for survival is motivated by needing food. So they're going to be selfish. They're going to steal the food. And I want to make sure people understand that that doesn't mean there's no consequences. Just because we know that this need for survival exists, and we might recognize that your need isn't being met, so you're doing whatever you need to fulfill that need, that doesn't mean you're immune to consequences. that might still require some coaching, some learning. Maybe you don't know the rules. Maybe we need to take a time apart and do a little reflection period. But these are the motivating factors for why somebody might do something like that. For instance, agency-wide, our good neighbor policy, like the agency counts in this, and in order for us to serve you, we have to be good to our neighbors. We have to do these things and say, you know, don't stand there and turn your music down, and you have to go 2 blocks away, and don't throw your trash there. That's when we have to really protect the agency and our neighbors to be able to support, right? That's when we want to try to be more green, where the agency counts, you count, everybody counts. We're going to respect the policy, we're going to respect the building, and we're going to be respectful to you while we do it. But we just need to make sure we're on the same page for the survival of everyone. And if you want to take a moment and pause right now and talk about other times where you might be red when it comes to your survival, feel free to do so and hit play, and I'll be right here when you're done. And we'll move on to blue now. Blue, I count, you don't count. Sorry, let's flip that and reverse it. You count, I don't count. That's what's gonna be, you know, why I show up to work. That I'm here because you matter in this situation. Your survival, your need for shelter, your safety, that's what's mattering. I'm coming to work in a pandemic, making sure that you have the support and the ability to come in for these services, because that's me being blue when it comes to survival. Kind of. Also being red because I need to pay my rent, I need to take care of my bills, and I need to come to work in order to do that, right? So that's a great way to show that I'm being red and I'm being blue at the same time. It just depends on the perspective of why I'm doing it. I'm coming to work for you, but I'm also coming to work for me. Anybody have any other examples of being blue when it comes to survival? And we'll move over to purple. So I don't count, you don't count. When it comes to survival with being purple, this one can be a little challenging. And when we recognize somebody who is being purple when it comes to survival, we want to be a little extra careful with them, because if their survival doesn't count and they don't care about your survival, that might lead to a dangerous situation for themselves or for somebody else. So while in future videos we'll discuss being purple and how there could be benefits to that, when it comes to survival, if somebody is purple, that tends to be an alert for suicide watch and ways to help. But how do we help someone if they don't care about themselves and they don't care about you? You know, if I can't say, you know, I love you, and they're like, I don't care if you love me, how do we help them? We have to give them some time. And like I said, these things can be in the matter of a day, hour, a week, and some people might never be purple. But it's a definitely important one to recognize when it comes to survival. And then green, I count, you count. Like I mentioned back on red, this is when everybody takes everything into account. We're wearing our masks, we're social distancing, we're not complaining all the time about how bored we are, because I'm sure a lot of the people that are living through the pandemic or haven't lived through a pandemic would love to just be bored. But it's really taking into account everybody and why we're here and what we're going to do to survive as ourselves, as our community, as an agency, a city, country, everything. So, you know, think about these things. Again, I don't expect anybody to be like, oh, you're being such a blue right now. But, you know, kind of look at that. Like, why is that person behaving in this way? Oh, their blanket was stolen. And that blanket is the last thing they have with their family. And that really means a lot to them. And they're going to be a little red right now because of that. You know, it's not that we can just get you another blanket and move on. You know, that's an important thing. So that's some of the motivators of why these things happen. And at the beginning of the video, I mentioned some differences between Glasser's 5 basic needs, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this is when we're going to get into some of those. So the characteristics of the 5 basic needs, they're universal. They're in every single culture. We're going to see this. Survival everywhere. It causes war. It causes, anything in any country. You're not going to see any community just be like, oh, doesn't matter. They're innate. These are things that we don't think about, right? We're hungry, we eat. We're tired, we sleep. These just happen. They don't usually take a whole lot of effort to do with our bodies. Overlapping, like my example earlier, I was red and blue when it comes to coming to work. Like, why am I coming to work? I'm being red, I'm being blue with it. They overlap sometimes. Not always, but they can. Timing. Timing for sure has a huge impact because our need for survival, maybe in the summertime, like being outside, it's fine to be by the river, don't really need shelter that much and kind of doing my own thing. Wintertime, it's raining, it's wet, it's cold. That might be a more important time for survival, for shelter. And then conflict with others' needs. This is definitely going to happen when someone's being red. You're definitely going to get some pushback on it. Someone's like, can't we all just be green, y'all? Can we all just chill and just everybody matters? Well, sometimes it doesn't because I need my blanket back. I need that safety and that comfort for my survival. So I can't be green, and that's going to be a conflict when it comes to it. So that is the first of my 5 basic needs videos. I really hope you can remember your survival and the community's survival. Remember when it's going to be any of these things, any of these colors, how they're going to impact you in what you're doing, and understand why some people might be behaving that way. They might be in a funk. They might be a little purple and need someone to talk to. They might be blue and just be really generous and helping people out. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Go ahead and keep chatting about these things. If you have any great experiences and examples, love to hear about them. And I'll see you all for the next video. All right.